No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkira Kamadani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. How to stop comparing and start living. Today's episode is going to be all about hot girl hacks to romanticize your life. Emphasis on your. When we think about comparison, one, it is the thief of joy. We all know this. But two, we're thinking about other people and we're forgetting ourselves and we're forgetting all the good that we encompass. I'm actually considering this a part 2 episode for the very first episode I created about the topic of comparison, which is episode 7. It's one of the first episodes of this podcast. All of those things still very much hold true. When we compare ourselves, we are forgetting all the things that are awesome about us because we're so entangled in wanting to have what he's having or have what she's having when our life is pretty great too, when we really focus on ourselves and we remember who we are. So before we get started, take some time right now and rate the show Misunderstood 5 stars. I love coming on every week and I feel so connected to this podcast. The podcast feels bigger than me and it is a very safe space for you and I to come and chat and yap and talk and just exist together. So if you have not already, please take some time right now and rate the show 5 stars on both Apple and Spotify. That helps a ton, as well as leave a written review on Apple Podcasts that lets other people know more about the show. Thank you so much. All right, let us get into the topic. Essentially, we are breaking this habit. We are breaking the habit of comparing ourselves to others. With most of the big topics I talk about on this podcast, I always want to share a disclaimer. I am by no means saying that you will never compare yourself to anybody ever again because that is so unrealistic. However, when we catch ourselves comparing ourselves to others, there are ways that we can shift our thinking and not feel sad and uncomfortable and less than, because those are all of the feelings that come from comparing yourself to other people. You think that you are beneath someone else. You think that this person has more than what you have. Comparison really, really is the thief of joy. It really stops us from being happy and romanticizing our own life and living in our own world. Comparison is such a common thing to do. We all have done it. We all have looked to our left and looked to our right and noticed that someone has something that we want, or someone is in a position at work that we are striving for, but we don't have. Someone has more money than us. Someone has more friends than us. Someone is getting married before we are. Comparison all the time. And we can get jealous and we can be very envious of those people. And that is so detrimental, because it stops us from living. All my life, in so many areas, I'm talking through sports, through work, through school, through content creation, through dating, through insert literally any category of life, I have had a comparison feeling towards someone at some point in all of those categories of life. And this is not a quick fix. Like I said, I have personally worked on my comparison issue for years, significantly. I really, really, really wanted to get better at this. So the tips that I am about to share with you guys, these tips have really helped me combat that feeling of comparison. And I do believe that these will help you break that cycle as well. And we have 9 of them. So the first is limit your social media intake. So my biggest gripe with social media, I've come to understand, is the highly curated highlight reel of it all. We've all done it. We have all posted like we're perfect. We have all posted a polished lifestyle and quite literally the highlights, a highlight reel of our lives, what we want people to see. And that's mostly on Instagram. We all know this. This is not a secret. And this is really why I do not like Instagram. I do not like posting on Instagram. It just feels so inauthentic. And I've already said the only reason why I have Instagram is for my job. If I did not need it for being a content creator, I would not have it because it doesn't bring me joy at all. I like posting stories from time to time, but even that makes me feel a little performative. And I'm not trying to be pick me, and I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody who loves Instagram and anybody who loves doing Instagram stories. I find myself just not loving it. And I think I really only do Instagram stories also when something cool is going on. I don't do it just regularly because that's not how the app is set up. The app is set up to post your best, to look snatched, to create this persona of yourself. So the everyday person, when they look at that, when they're scrolling, it's going to cause some upsetting feelings internally because we feel like we can't measure up to this personality online. Yet that personality online is highly curated. It's not even really attainable. So with that said, I have fully limited my social media usage as a whole, especially looking at content like that. I don't really go on Instagram really at all, which is kind of crazy to say because I am a content creator, but I only post monthly photo dumps on Instagram when I feel like it, truly. But I am not scrolling. I am not going on the explore page. I'm just not having it because it just doesn't make me feel good. And a lot of it is so highly curated that it just doesn't feel real. And if it doesn't feel real, why am I comparing myself to something that is inauthentic to me? It's inauthentic to me. I'm not saying it's inauthentic. It's inauthentic to me. And everyone can have their own opinion, but that is mine. So I highly recommend you taking breaks. Taking social media breaks are so good. Doing maybe a few days of a social media detox or just not going on them for a day or two and just seeing how you feel. Also, this is a me thing, but I know a lot of people also do this as well. This is kind of niche, but I don't follow celebrities for actually that same exact reason. They have highly curated, almost unattainable lives, and I just don't like consuming that type of content from them because they are so far removed from the everyday person. They are not everyday people. They are literally famous for their respective reasons. And I don't like following them simply because of that. I want to remind myself that my life is fruitful and I don't need their bubble in my world. I don't need that type of distraction personally. Number 2 is focus on your own path. This one is really great for anybody who's super goal oriented and really wants to strive for their goals and their milestones. It is essentially investing your energy into your projects, what you have going on, and not putting that energy towards other people. Because when you literally lock in and focus on yourself, you can actually accomplish anything, and that's not being delusional. There's so much truth to that. Personally, I do not pay a lot of attention to what people are doing. In general, I really have mastered staying in my own lane. Again, that came with a lot of time and remembering that there are goals that I have. And the only way I'm going to get those goals is if I lock in with myself. No one's going to hold my hand. No one's going to get these goals for me. I have to do it myself. Because I essentially block that out, I have all of the energy harvested for my projects and my goals. And I do find that when I lock in, when I really lock in, it's a wrap. It's game over. I am unstoppable when I lock in. I am unstoppable when I focus on myself fully and I do not let other people get in my way and I do not let other people's projects and things that they have going on deter me from my own. We all have our own lives and we all have our own stuff going on, of course. Focus on what you have going on. What he has going on, what she has going on doesn't really matter because you have your shit going on. And so when you focus on yourself and use all your energy for your projects, your goals, you will get to them that much faster. Number 3 is practice gratitude. I find myself expressing gratitude all the time. It's really important for me to do that. I say it in my YouTube vlogs a lot. I've also said it on this podcast quite a bit over time that I'm just so thankful to live in New York City. I'm so thankful to get to come into the Empire State Building and record this podcast. I'm so thankful for all the people who have followed me on my social media. I'm so thankful for all of the work opportunities I get to do. I'm so thankful for all of it. Reminding myself of my gratitude anchors me into my own life. And it reminds me that there's no need to compare myself to what they have going on because I'm doing cool shit too. I am doing my own thing and I'm very, very proud of that. Appreciating what you have in your life helps combat the feeling of not feeling like you're good enough or not feeling like you have everything that you need. I have a few examples. I think back to when I was 16 and I got injured playing basketball. I tore my ACL. I've told the story before on the podcast, but I tore my ACL. I was out for an entire year, but I came back post-surgery, post-recovery. I qualified for state for track, and I ended up getting 5th place in state for track, which is an amazing feat. And I expressed so much gratitude in myself and in my body for being injured a year ago and being able to recover to the point of actually competing in state that following year. I could have looked at that instance as I'm so mad that I wasn't able to get 1st place at state. But the fact that I came back from an injury to be able to even qualify for state and actually did qualify under the circumstances, that is something to be so, so grateful for. Another example actually happened this past weekend here in New York City. So many people are traveling right now. I've also been itching to travel. I haven't traveled since January when I went to Tahoe for Ariana's 30th birthday, but I have been itching to travel. However, I'm still very locked in with my recovery journey for my knee. And essentially, I can't really travel for an extended period of time until I am cleared. That's what I'm telling myself because I want to focus on getting better. So I'm putting traveling on the back burner for right now. But so many people are traveling. So many people are going to the Hamptons because it is finally warm enough in New York City. I felt the comparison creep in a little bit. However, this past weekend, me and my friends spontaneously decided to go to the beach. So we went to Rockaway Beach, which is about an hour outside of Manhattan, and we had a full-on beach day. Hamptons who? We literally got the beach, which is exactly what we would be doing if we went 4 hours away to the Hamptons. We had such a nice, wholesome, fruitful day that made me think, wait a minute, I'm so grateful that we have access to this place here in New York City. We don't have to get on the LIRR and travel for 4 hours. We don't have to get in a car. We can literally just sit on the subway or take the ferry. These are ways that I have truly practiced gratitude in my life and remind myself that my life is romantic and happy and I can find joy in so many everyday ways. Number 4 is reframing comparison as inspiration. Instead of feeling inferior about someone else's successes, ask, what can I do to improve my life? How can I learn from them? Because clearly they're successful for a reason. Instead of feeling less than and instead of feeling jealous or envious of said person, use that as motivation. Use that as fuel to know that since someone else can do it, you can do it too. The first example I have is seeing a girl with my similar following and engagement get to go on a brand trip that looked really cool and fun. I've never been on a brand trip. I would love to go on a brand trip, so the universe will hear me and send me on one in due time. But I felt a little bit of comparison when I saw her stories and I saw her TikTok videos about it, and it did make me think that I wasn't good enough for a hot second, but then I reframed it and I asked myself, what are things that she has done since I've met her that really makes her content stand out? There are ways that I can learn from this creator to be a better creator because I can always improve. That helped me be more inspired rather than jealous that she got to go on a brand trip that I didn't get to go on. Another example, back when I worked at KPMG, which was many moons ago at this point, but my peers were way, way smarter than me. At least I thought they were. And I felt very inferior sometimes at work because they were adapting to the concepts so much easier than I was. Instead of feeling dumb, I pulled one of them aside and I had them try to help me with a project. There are so many ways that you can be collaborative and reach your goals together rather than sulking and feeling like they're better than you. At the time, those coworkers were actually a really good point of motivation for me, and I really did appreciate that at the time. And the last example of this is the Webby Creator Weekend, which I touched on a little bit last episode. The panelists at the Webby Weekend, they were all so decorated and so accomplished in the creator sphere. There was part of me that could have been in my comparison sense and took it as they're so much better than me. This is why they're sitting on the panel talking to us. But I decided to use it as motivation and use it as inspiration. I actually brought my notebook and I was taking notes throughout the entire panel of all of these amazing speakers and learning from what they had to say and using that as motivation to do better as a creator, to feel more confident as a creator. Number 5 is be okay with imperfection. No one is perfect. We all have our own imperfections. And honestly, I've come to really believe that imperfections are what makes us all unique and special in that way. For example, back in high school, I just remember being so bad at science. It was my worst subject by far. However, I kept on trying, did actually decently overall in the class, but I would always compare myself to the people who were really, really good at the subject. I had to realize that I'm not perfect and I'm not going to be stellar at every single subject. I was really good at a lot of subjects, but I really wasn't good at science, and I had to just let it be that and not seek to be so perfect at everything. I did mention a few episodes back, I am a perfectionist, so I found myself trying way too hard to be really, really good at this subject when I didn't need to be. I just had to give my best effort, which I did. Number 6 is list your strengths. I mentioned this in our confidence episode, which was episode 72. I find that it is so important to list your strengths and have it in a tangible place that you can refer to at any point in time. Either put it in your notes app and pin it at the top so that you see it every single time you open your notes app, and or put a physical copy in your room by your bedside so that every single morning you wake up, you see a list of your strengths and your accomplishments. Something about remembering what we can do really well is very good for our confidence, of course, but it helps us lessen the comparison that we tend to have when we don't think that we're doing well. That's where it stems from. We don't think that we are doing well. We think that other people are doing better than us. That is literally where comparison sprouts. So when we have a tangible list of things that we're good at, things that we know that we have achieved and accomplished, that is such a game changer to combating that feeling of comparison. Number 7, don't knock others down. This one is a little bit of a sneaky one that a lot of people don't clock. I myself as well. We can do some subliminal things that are honestly really negative, like criticize someone else for what they're doing or how they're living or what projects they're doing, when that isn't going to help us feel better. It's not going to help us get to our goals any faster. We're actually just being negative, and being negative is not great. And a lot of us do this as a temporary boost of ego. We do this to try to make ourselves feel better, but it's not going to give us that result that we are hoping for. In the past, I have said, why does this person have more followers than me when I work twice as hard on my content? I work twice as hard on my videos. It frustrates me. I don't get it. Why does this person have these opportunities and I don't? Because I feel like I deserve it more than this person. These are little subliminal ways that are actually critiquing and putting other people down. That is essentially what that is. And I acknowledge that. And I stopped doing that a while ago because I realized that there are reasons, of course, why that person got the opportunity. There are reasons why that person gets to do said thing. That doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of doing the same thing. That just means that they got the opportunity and I will get one in due time. And it is honestly so much easier to be a supporter than a hater. Just in general, it is easier to be a supporter than a hater. I try to remember that all the time when I might feel those thoughts and feelings like I once did. It is so much easier to be proud of someone's success because that shows that you can do it too at some point. When you're a hater, you are just putting out negative energy, which karma is a real thing. So just try not to be negative. Try to just be more positive, be happy for other people's successes because that success will come back to you. Number 8 is understanding the media versus reality. You've probably heard Instagram versus reality, where Instagram is the highly curated, posed, aesthetic lifestyle versus reality, where there is messiness, there is things that aren't going great all the time because that is real life. And when you realize that you're comparing yourself to the IG version, the media, the overly curated version of somebody, rather than remembering that they are a person just like you who have flaws, who have things that they're obviously not sharing online. That should help you change the way you think about comparison. I also like to think about how we have no idea how people got to where they are financially. We have no idea the type of help and resources that were at their disposal to get them to where they are. We have no idea about any of it. Even with relationships, romantic relationships that we see online, there are so many times where I compare myself and I get jealous and I get upset sometimes where I see these happy, healthy couples, seemingly happy, healthy. And I'm not saying they aren't happy, healthy, because they very well could be. However, this is what they're choosing to show us. There is so much more behind the scenes, of course, with everybody. Remembering that adds more context back into the situation. It reminds us that they are showing us a curated life. They are showing us what they want us to see and the highlights. Life doesn't look like that all the time, and life doesn't look like that for most people. So there's no need to compare yourself to the media of it all. And number 9 is be kind to yourself. Essentially, shift focus from external validation to inner confidence. I think it's really, really important to remember that you're amazing, to remember that you have so many amazing traits, you've done so much for yourself, and you should be proud of everything that you've done to get to where you are. I really wanted to talk about body confidence for a second, especially as we are pretty much in summer now. I have had a long history of comparing myself and my body to how other people look, especially in summer where we're not wearing as many clothes, we're wearing swimsuits, we're swimming, we're going to the beach, we're on boats. That has always made me feel self-conscious. Can't help but compare myself from time to time to other people. Personally, I have always wanted bigger boobs. I didn't get blessed with that. And I compare myself to other girls who have bigger boobs and they look more filled out in that way. But then I have to remember that I need to be more kind to myself. And I have to remember that I have traits about myself that I love. Yes, I don't have big boobs, but I have a fat ass. And hey, I love that for me. And that is how I'm trying to shift the conversation. I want to remember that there are so many really great traits about me, even though comparison is something I do struggle with still from time to time. I've really, really, really improved on it, but being kind to yourself is so, so important. You have to love yourself first before anyone else will. When you love yourself and when you're really truly kind to yourself every single day, and when you really exude that, practice that, you won't be comparing yourself to anybody. You really, really won't. And even with beauty standards, as kids, we were warped. We thought that beauty meant one specific type of person. I know that's what I saw as a kid. And that really changed how I thought about myself. And it really warped my sense of self. And it really, really made me compare all the time, whether I was pretty in so many ways, with my face, with my hair, with my body. There were so many ways that I was comparing myself to other girls who looked so much different than me. So first off, I should not be comparing myself to all these people, but I did. That was really harmful as a kid. So if anybody is younger than me who is listening to this episode, I want to tell you straight up that you have so much beauty in you, so much natural beauty. Everything about your body and everything about what you look like is uniquely you, and that makes it amazing. That makes it worth celebrating. Being kind to yourself does mean you have to look at yourself, quite literally, physically look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself all the things you love about yourself. And if you do not love yourself right now, we are going to work on that over time. But it is so important to love the body that you're in, love the arms that you were given, love the hair that you were given, love everything about yourself. Being kind to yourself is deeply important to making sure that you are not looking left and not looking right and comparing yourself to other people who might have done some work on themselves, quite literally done medical work on themselves to get the bodies they have, to get the faces they have, to get the hair they have, the skin they have. I'm trying not to say the word perfect because no one is perfect, but you have a uniquely you persona. You have a uniquely you aura being that is beautiful, that should be celebrated. So that was all 9 of the tips that I would give anybody who is struggling with comparison. It is important to remember that our individual lives are worth living. It is up to us and we hold the cards. And please, please, please remember that you are amazing just the way you are. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify and follow it wherever you're listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Leave a question or ask for advice on our Jot form, also linked in every single podcast description. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at NK Madani. And I will talk to you guys in my next one.